What's a transferable skill? Well, in employment, a transferable skill is a skill that you've gained in the past and you can take forward into the future. So when you start looking at your transferable skills, it's actually very difficult to, by yourself, pick out what you've done. So hopefully I can put some literature down and put some things here that can help you develop that. So what I would encourage everyone to do is write down everything they've done in the past, be it life experience, personal experience, or employment, and try and then feed from that. So say if you made a cup of tea for the boardroom meeting every single day. Now that's a front of house service. You know, you're there, you're showing yourself to the organisation, you are presenting yourself on behalf of the organisation. But the same can be said for, say, supervisors who may think they have no administration skills but have spent their life doing paperwork for managers, or fielding phone calls to solve queries, or dealing with outside organisations they have to contact and keep in contact with. That's all administration skills. Posting letters, organising letters to be posted, or sales to be made, or receipts. It's all administration, but a lot of people don't believe in that because they don't see it as an administration duty. This is a transferable skill, and it's important for people to believe in what they've done in the past. Say, for instance, you could get somebody who wants to work in engineering. Engineering jobs are thin on the ground, but for instance, within the NHS, I used to encourage a lot of people that worked in engineering, if they had a real interest, to try and find voluntary work within the NHS, within the biomedical labs, so that if they had a natural understanding to a subject, they could then develop that within a role. That natural understanding is a transferable skill, but it's up to you to believe that. Now, transferable skills literally can be anything. You could work in care, you could look after a family member for 10, 20 years, 2 months, 3 months, depending on what that care is. You can use that to your advantage. It's not very nice, but it's important that you look at everything you've done and reflect on that. It shows, you know, if you worked in care, it shows you're empathetic. If you've worked in any sort of administration role, it shows you're organised. If you've worked as a supervisor or on a factory line, you know, look at the problem solving you've done in that role. I'll give you a quick example. I helped somebody who had worked in the army for 20 years just as an officer to actually find his path to be a ward manager in a hospital. Now, he at first didn't see the point in being with the organisation I worked for, and the job centre had referred him on, but within 20 minutes I'd shown him that actually he had the really strong abilities and the character and personality and even the experience to be a ward manager or a ward manager's assistant. All the responsibility he'd taken in the army, the decisions he had to make under pressure, dealing with so many people all at one time, strict time schedules, organisation, all meant that actually when he looked at the job description and what it is that they wanted him to do, and they wanted from him in the person specification, he had all these qualities. That's why it's also important to look at the person specification and say, what is it they want? They want somebody organised. Well, am I organised? Yes, because I had to get into work at this time. I had a quota that I had to maintain, had targets I had to reach. Organisation can come in many forms, but you need to tease that out of yourself. I'll write down some information and I'll put things down to try and give people ideas of what a transferable skill is and what maybe your transferable skills are. But you need to write everything down on paper and decide exactly what it is that you've done and how that can be taken to the next job.